Hi, Doug here with the long-awaited episode 2 of the Natural Stone Driveway Project. So with this episode, I wanted to go over an issue that kind of affects us all when we undertake projects like this. It's a bit of a sensitive topic, but madness. So the whole theme of this video will be overcoming rock madness and some strategies, some mindset to overcome that. So when you're collecting such a huge amount of rock, so that's the whole theme of this video. If you've been afflicted by rock madness, I want you to leave a comment. I will not let rock madness control my life. Okay. So you have to have some long-term thinking here when you're collecting this many rocks for a driveway. This has taken me about 2.5 years, 3 years since I thought of the idea, and then 2.5 years of collecting rocks. You have to have kind of a scavenger hunt mentality. Like every day you go out into the woods or wherever you're getting these rocks from, and sometimes you strike out. Sometimes you don't find a good rock, or you obsess over a rock that is like 90% good, but it's just not perfect. So you just have to have that long-term mentality of you're gonna find a rock average once a day. That was what I was trying to do. So we're talking like over 2.5 years times the number of days in 2.5 years. I'm not good at math, but do the math there. I'm trying to do one like rock a day, like something like this, like a good sized rock. And as far as where to find all of these rocks, I mean, I'm gonna take the camera in hand in a second and show you the different kinds of rocks I got here. But I've found that riverbeds are really good places. So certain types of rivers, they kind of shear the rock off in predictable ways. So the weak sediment layers, I guess, maybe get attacked by bacteria. I don't know the processes, but they shear off in predictable plates. So especially if you're on a basalt ridge like I live on, basalt has very, very predictable seams. So you can get really good plates around rivers. Just explore people's properties. Like anytime you're on a friend's property, a family's property, just go out, look at their rock walls. You might find a really nice flat rock. So just ask if you can grab it, put it in your car and take it home. Bam, you're done for the day. Maybe you can get even a few rocks. I went down to my brother's in Maryland, which is, I'm in Connecticut here. And that was like a 7-hour drive, but I loaded up the car with like 10 good rocks. So thanks, brother. Rock walls, of course, are prime candidates. A lot of times you'll find a good flat rock like in a rock wall, but you don't want to mess up the rock wall. So what you can do is find another rock that's not suitable for your driveway and replace the flat rock in the wall, and then take the flat rock out and then use it for your driveway. So because the rock wall, you don't need perfectly flat rocks. It's a lot more forgiving as far as the dimensions of the rock. I like to find rocks when I am hiking, like on a trail, something like that. Just look around, you see a nice flat rock. I mean, you don't want to like disturb nature or whatever, I guess, too much. But if it's just sitting right off the trail, I mean, why not just grab it, pick it up? Next episode, I'll be going over some carry techniques for rocks, so stay tuned for that. But this is about like the overall strategy. Another thing you can do if you're on a my camera's a little low. If you're on a trail frequently, like you frequent a trail, a lot of times you'll find like a huge rock at like 2 miles into the woods. So what you can do is start building up caches. So identify landmarks along the trail, and because this rock you find might be so heavy, what you can do is just carry it 50 feet, 100 feet, 500 feet, whatever you can do comfortably to a landmark. And then these landmark caches start building up, and every time you go for a hike, you just move the rocks to the next landmark. So they just inch their way to the trailhead, at which point you load it in your car and boom, you're all set. That's a very effective strategy. Very fun strategy too, because, well, this is where rock madness comes into play, because like your mind just obsesses over all the rocks you have cached in the woods, and if people are like stealing them. So, make sure your caches are obvious to you, but I mean, this is gold. This is gray gold here. So make sure other people don't see them obviously, like a nice pile of flat rocks, because then, I mean, so yeah, the caching strategy has been very helpful for me. Have others help you. If you're on a hike with your family, with friends, give them a flat rock. Everyone loves carrying rocks on trails, especially kids. Kids just love carrying rocks. I'm joking about that. They hate it. But if you make them, it's like they're happy afterwards. If you just make them do it, they're so happy after carrying a rock. Because, I mean, obviously. Let me go over the strategy I use to actually put these rocks, because you can see it's not just a random pile of rocks that I've put at the driveway, as you can see. There's some organization to it. I don't know if this organization is going to be helpful or not. The camera there. But I figure it's better to have it organized and not need it than need it organized later and it not being organized. It's better to do something and not need it than need something and not do it, if that's right. Yeah. So let me take the camera here. And so I'll start. So I'll start with this pile is what I call the bricks. So you can see the dimensions of these things. They're as tall, like as thick, height-wise, as they are in another dimension, either width or length, or they're perfectly like a cube almost. So yeah, these I call the bricks. I think these are going to be a solid player in my scheme here. All these brick rocks. These are like just little tiny fragments. Maybe they broke off of larger plates. I think these are going to be also very useful for filling in small gaps. So I separated these out as well. You can see the size of my hand here. Yeah, these are just little chunks. Technically, some of these are bricks as well, but they're too small for the proper brick pile. We were talking about walls before. This was from a stone wall that on my property that was like a masoned, with caulk or not caulk, but mortar, whatever. But it was I had to blast it out because never mind why. But here it was like free pile of rocks for the driveway. And technically some of these are bricks, some of these could belong in other piles as far as their dimensions. But I wanted to keep them all together. Just because they're all the same color, right? So that's I feel like that's gonna be the more important property of them. I was talking about finding rocks from rivers. I think most of these little slivers are, I call them the slivers, or dinner plates. Most of these are from the rivers, sheared off of sediment layer, erosion, or I'm trying to sound smart. I don't really know the geology of it, but that's my theory. And these I don't think are going to be too useful for the driveway directly. I feel rather that they might be useful for like edges, or perhaps propping up a rock that's too thin. So like putting one of these dinner plates under like a brick and using it to raise it up a little bit as needed. Finally, we have the other contender for the biggest pile. This right here, right? So yeah, I don't know what, as far as area, I don't know. I think this is going to be the bigger pile. I call these this is just the meat and potatoes pile. These are all rocks, average size, about a dinner plate, but nice thickness to them, unlike these actual dinner plates, which are kind of thin. These are going to be the workhorse, I think, of the driveway project. These and the bricks, I'm not really sure. Finally, we start getting to just gigantic rocks, and I'm going to be making some videos about how I moved these. I mean, imagine moving some of these through like a few hundred feet of just thickly dense wood. Like, how do you can't, most of these I can't even pick up, and actually a lot of them are very hard to roll, even, or flip. So I'll be doing some videos on how I got these out. Let me walk over here. So I ended up just this started out as like one pile, and then I was like, okay, this is like the rounded edge pile, and this is the angular edge pile, and it just kind of all turned into one big arc of giant stones. Yeah, and these are my pride and joy. I love these. Made it all worth it. This big one right here was the last rock I pulled out of the woods this summer, and I had such a feeling. Here, I'll put the camera back. Yeah. Yeah, as far as that last rock, that big last rock, I had such a feeling of like accomplishment when I finally rolled that rock into my driveway, which I didn't expect it at all. I was like, all right, last rock, like I'm finally done. And I put it in place, and it just this feeling of like I did something washed over me, which, I mean, maybe that sounds strange. I mean, we should all have that feeling pretty regularly, I think. But I mean, in such a powerful way. I haven't felt it in, I don't even remember, years and years. Even though I do all kinds of different projects, like things always feel like half done, like on to the next one. But for whatever reason, when I dragged that last rock out, just like I had a warm glow. It lasted like an hour, and then I was back to my old bitter self. But hey, it was worth it, right? So that's about it. I hope this video helps you cope with your rock madness. And next video will be on some carrying techniques, and maybe some techniques for the larger rocks as well. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like, and share all that stuff. See you next time.